Good morning, everybody. Did the switcheroo. Um, this is Mikhail from Healthwise Enterprise, the health food store that's located at 3807 East 8 Mile Road, about 3 blocks west of Ryan, between Ryan and DeQuinta. And we're there to service you Monday through Saturday from 10 to 7. And you can call us directly at the store at 586-757-DIET. Again, that's 586-757-3438. Our old number still works, 313-366 a diet. And then you can always reach me on cell phone, share information, etc. at 313-600-8532. Um, I do want to share with everybody. I just get a little grandpa bragging rights. um, my daughter called me yesterday and said my grandson has been enrolled in the gifted program. It's a school that they have him in down south in Atlanta, and I just so proud. Um, and my other grandson, he's is taking gifted classes. He doesn't do the whole program like the second born, but he's real good with math, and because that's one of the traits that I know I got from my father, because he was real good with math, and I'm good with math, and so found out that both my grandsons and my daughter is all good with math. So he's in the gifted math program. But the second born is like my brother, second born, just gifted. Of course, back then in the 50s, they didn't. My parents didn't know anything about a gifted program, but Ronald just he would come home, be through with all his homework in an hour. Ken and myself, we working for hours to finish our homework before we can go out and play and stuff. So just thank God for that gift. And I know we all have gifts. It's just a matter of us using those gifts and having the nerve to use those gifts. And we found out that when we do, it's like having faith unseen is just, people who do that just have phenomenal lives. Um, it's like, walking with God, and we walk with God all the time anyway, because never forsaking us, is always there with us. It's just whether we going to listen and take that advice from God's angels, our higher selves, whichever you want to call it, or him. Some cases people call her. We come from a source, and we're going back to that source. We're more spiritual than we are physical, and matter of fact, we spiritual beings before we get the meat suit. Spiritual beings with the meat suit, and spiritual beings after we get through with the meat suit. It's that in the meat suit you can touch, feel, taste. There's a lot of things that we can create, in which we do. And as you look at mankind, the last 100 years has just been phenomenal compared to the 1,000 years before that. And so the next 100 years is going to be even more phenomenal, because man is tapping more into their higher selves. And one of the ways I find out to do that is through meditation. We always talk about praying. I grew up with that, but last 30, 40 years is when I was introduced to meditation, and we used to simply say we got 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should do more listening than talking, do more meditating than praying. and then get into a state of meditation where you are in a constant state of meditation, consciously being conscious. Okay, and that takes work, but it's taking a second before you make that decision and just tuning in to your higher self, and it's just the right way to go, right thing to do. And it has always been that case with me when I listen to my higher self. So I'm bringing you this information. One of the reasons I was late for the show is it's just watching this and training and studying for this show. I ran across this teacher who who teach meditation, and just went into a meditation with him, and it's just phenomenal. One of the quickest ways to do it is through our breath. Thank God we don't have to think about breathing. And God made us, He made that automatic. And that's also one of the first gifts God gave us coming out the womb is that breath. That first breath comes from God, the breath of life. And by just being conscious of our breathing and being and staying conscious of the breathing, and it's just slowing the mind down and taking. I always encourage people when we come to Healthwise and they have a dis-ease and they want to get rid of it, that if you do what we call 3 parts, mind, body, and spirit, the chances of getting 100% healthy increases tremendously. The mind is learning the information. A lot of it we've been blessed with. We have about 200 pigeonholes of information that we give away to people, and they take it to work and make copies and share with other folks. And the beat goes on. That's one reason, like the noni juice and stabilized greens, and I think this is the DOS flakes, the silver water. And people make copies of those reports and they share with other folks. And then the main thing is they take it, the products, that would be the body, and they start coming back and tell us what great results they got. And I just thank God has provided this avenue so folks can have great results in getting healthy. It's one of the things that excites me, is to seeing that, okay, because that you take with you. And I always encourage people, one of the key times in our life is that first 15 minutes when we wake up and the last 15 minutes before we go to sleep, is visualizing the health you want or the wealth you want, relationships, etc. The connection with God, just visualizing it, a time in your life when you was healthy, just visualizing that and believing it, that's you right now. And that speeds up the healing process. I think about the story in the Bible when the lady fought through the crowd just to touch Jesus' garment, and she was real ill, and she just needed to touch his garment, and when she did that, she instantly got healed. And I put the two together, and God said, these things I can do, you can do, and even greater. It thought came to me that she healed herself with her belief in Jesus. And we all have that healing power. It's like God haven't forsaken us. It's just we've been bombarded with in America is hustle, bzz, bzz, all the time, trying to put this fire out, spin this plate, do all these different things, just go, go, go. And all you don't do today is put it on tomorrow's list and go, go, go. When it's so powerful, just taking 15 minutes before you go, go, go is just be still, still, still. And spend that time with your creator, with God. It's like I grew up, my parents wanted us to hang out with the wrong crowd because, you do the things that they would do. I can't think of no time greater than spending with God, your creator. It just empowers you, and you do it every day. You just get more and more powerful. So you get to the point like Martin Luther King, you just fearless, and you just can move yourself in spite of the masses, taking the trail other folks haven't taken. And you look at the great leaders, they went against the grains. They went with their higher self. So, just a little bit into it. And then the other thing is a lot of my friends are worried about dementia, worried about losing their mental capacity, having to depend on other folks to take care of them because in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, and they talking about senior moments, is 5, 10 years away. But I like to hang around people that talk about people that's in their 80s and 90s buying new cars. Okay, they not lost and have no even idea of what that will be about. And it's their thought pattern, it's their belief system that they can be 100 and still drive their car and get from point A to point B, be totally independent. Like the folks in the Himalayas and the Titicaca, 100, 110, 120, 30, and 40, climbing mountains, looking like they half their age. It's just remarkable. And you check out the scientists, they say these bodies can design by God to last 1,000 years. So we could be on the fast track of go, 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 but when we slow down and tap into our spiritual selves, not only do I believe you extend your life, you extend the quality of your life. One of the gifts that God gives us is that vitamin D when we sit in the sun. But our skin's so thick, we would, being the sun people, we would have to sit in the sun 8, 9, 10 hours to get the 10,000 IUs of vitamin D per day. I understand these next 2 or 3 days are going to be very sunny, but as you can see, it's very cold. So there's nobody going to be laying on their porch trying to get no vitamin D and freezing it, at the same time. But at Healthwise, we have vitamin D3. Have it in a pill form, and each pill is 5,000 international units. And Oprah did a study with a group of her scientists almost 10 years ago and had people taking 10,000, which would be 2 pills of the vitamin D3 per day, and had no toxic levels. Reason to say that, I believe the government still has the recommended allowances is 400 for children and 600 for, I think, adults and 800 for seniors. Nowhere near what we really need. But that's how they do. They keep the numbers real low for the vitamins and minerals. But when it comes to animals, they keep the numbers real high, and they throw in the minerals. Okay. So, vitamin D3. And it's funny because this article talking about vitamin D3 for depression, dementia, and diabetes. Vitamin D3 can improve a number of brain disorders, including depression and Alzheimer's disease, which is like, dementia on steroids. Vitamin D3. All of these we have up here: the noni, the DOS flakes, and the stabilized greens, the B12, and a little few things that people know about is the K2, 200 micromilligrams of that, along with the D3. All is excellent foods for the brain. And when you provide food for the brain, it's like giving it the fuel that God designed it to operate on. So the chances of it wearing out or you getting plaque in the brain, I believe, get less and less. Because a couple of years ago, when I was doing some research on dementia for my mama, I ran across this article, and it was basically saying it's easy to find 100 people in America with dementia or Alzheimer's, and it's very hard to find one person in India with dementia and Alzheimer's. And they did the study because over there they take turmeric for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And turmeric, they found, dissolved the plaque that builds up in the hemoglobin, which is part of the brain that we use for recall. Help breaks that plaque down. So by them being in India and taking turmeric breakfast, lunch, and dinner, they don't get a chance for the plaque to build up in the brain. So the chances of them get dementia is very slow, very low. We now have turmeric in a liquid form, and we have it in the pill form, and we have it in the powder form. Getting 765 milligrams per day is what they did an experiment on in this article. And over 50% of the people who was taking that much reversed their dementia. To what the degree is, it was in the short period of I think it was maybe 3-4 months. It proved that the turmeric helped with dementia, breaking up the plaque in the part of the brain. And we know omega-3s is excellent food for the brain. It's a food that it's part of the food chain that we need every day. Now, I like to get mine from fish. I like the salmon oil plus, or the core care, and from fish, and from the hemp seed, the chia seed, or even the flax seed. But it's a nutrient that we need every day. And it provides communications for our cells. Your brain is one of the biggest source of our cells. Well, our cells throughout the body. But our brain uses up a lot of that energy, that omega-3 and the nutrients you get in the noni, and these other nutrients on the table, B12, all the Bs, B complex. It's food for the brain. I mentioned the hemp seed, omega-3 and 6, excellent food for the brain. You got the seed, got the oils in it. You got the hemp oil. People have used that for schizophrenia, what you call it, the brain dealing with migraine headaches. We've seen folks just the other day always having migraine headaches, and just took the salve, which is one of the lowest form of the hemp that we have at Healthwise. See, hemp don't have no THC in it, and just put it on the scalp, and in a minute, the headache is gone. We've seen that a couple of times. All these foods are made by God. So no wonder they work so good. Seniors with severe vitamin D deficiency may raise their risk for dementia by 125%. Vitamin D3. Low levels of vitamin D3 also predispose you to depression. With all the stuff, hustle, hustle, busy, busy, that people are dealing with and can't get it done or don't have this or don't have that, get depressed. Vitamin D. And this, we have it, it's like 20 cents a pill, 40 cents a day, providing so many different benefits. It's about 30,000 functions that our body is involved in every day, and vitamin D3 is involved in 10% of that. Over 3,000 functions that our body does every day, and that vitamin D3 is involved in that. We talked about how it was so important for our immune system is getting the vitamin D3 in the daytime from the sun and the melatonin at night, and had those two work synergistically together enhance our immune system, our abilities to fight off all kind of diseases. An 8-year-long study showed that high levels of depression translate into greater risk for dementia later on. Don't worry, be happy. It's been proven that people smile, it promotes healing in the body. Even a laughter promotes healing in the body, even if that laughter is a fake laugh. It's not as strong a healing energy that's developed in the body, but it still promotes healing. Just laughter, whether it's a fake laugh or not. Vitamin D supplementation has been found to reduce both depression and diabetes pain. It can also help prevent the progression of pre-diabetes into full-blown diabetes. Why don't they? I think they do. But I know there's some places, some doctors prescribe vitamin D3 where they give you 50,000 IUs per week. But that for what reason? It doesn't matter long as you're taking it. Because see, vitamins help regulate the minerals. Vitamin D help regulate the mineral calcium and the mineral magnesium. And guess what? K2 helps regulate the vitamin D3. I call it the big four: calcium, magnesium, vitamin D3, and vitamin K2. Taking them every day for strengthening the bones, strengthening the muscles, strengthening your heart. Vitamin D research has repeatedly shown that vitamin D3 can improve a number of brain disorders, including depression and dementia, the most devastating form of which is Alzheimer's. D3 receptors appear in a wide variety of brain tissues early in the fetal development, and the activated vitamin D3 receptors increase nerve growth in the brain. Yes, so it's important that we give that to our children. Research believes that optimal vitamin D levels may enhance the amount of important chemicals in your brain and protect brain cells by increasing the effectiveness of the glycogen cells in nursing damaging neurons back to health. No, that's a new one. GLIAL. It's like dial, except for they got GAGL. So that'd be GAIL, GAIL. GLIAL. Cells in the brain. Vitamin D may also exert some of the beneficial effects on your brain through an anti-inflammatory and immune boosting properties. Vitamin D ain't no joke, y'all. Vitamin D deficiency drastically raised the risk for dementia. According to one recent study, seniors who have low levels of vitamin D may double their risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease, specifically compared to those with vitamin D levels in the normal range. Those with low levels had a 53% increased risk for dementia and a 70% increased risk for Alzheimer's. Excuse me. Severely deficient individuals had a 125% higher risk for developing dementia and 120% higher risk for developing Alzheimer's. Just a little 40 cents a day. It's quite amazing. As noted by the author, this adds to the ongoing debate about the role of vitamin D in non-skeletal conditions. A link between depression and dementia. Other researchers have found links between depression and dementia and between vitamin D deficiency and depression. One 8-year study from Rush University Medical Center found that the higher levels of depression translate into greater risk for dementia later on. The severity of the depression was also linked to the speed of memory decline. The worse the depression, the faster the decline in memory. According to lead researchers Robert Wilson, quote, "These findings are exciting because they suggest depression truly is a risk factor for dementia. And if we can target and prevent or treat depression and the causes of stress, we may have the potential to help people maintain their thinking and memory abilities into their old age." Studies point to the fact that low vitamin D levels also predisposes you to depression. So the link between vitamin D3, dementia, and depression indeed appears to be quite real. In essence, vitamin D deficiency raises your risk of both depression and dementia. So the fact that depressed individuals have a higher risk of dementia then has become rather logical. But the root of the problem is likely to be a lack of vitamin D3, not depression in and of itself. So what we have learned is how to take lemons and turn them into lemonade. And getting that vitamin D gives you the nutritional factor to help you to come up with creative ways to take that lemon and turn it into lemonade rather than getting depressed and woe is me. No, woe is God and me, what we going to do about this? It's just another opportunity to be creative to come up with a solution. And we are good at that. Vitamin D deficiency predisposes you to depression. In one previous study, seniors with low levels of vitamin D were found to be 11 times more prone to be depressed than those who had normal levels. More recent research has discussed in the Times online article, quote, "The Amsterdam research, which tracked over 1,200 people aged 65 to 95, showed that blood vitamin D levels were 14% lower in the individuals with major and minor depression compared with non-depressed participants. A study in the United States indicated that vitamin D3 deficiency occurs more often in certain people, including African Americans, blacks, city dwellers, the obese, and those suffering from depression. People with vitamin D levels below 20 milligrams per milliliter had an 85% increased risk of depression compared to those with vitamin D levels greater than 30 milligrams per milliliter. Vitamin D deficiency has long been associated with seasonal affective disorder, or SAD. And in 2007, researchers noted that vitamin D deficiency is associated with depression and fibromyalgia. A double-blind randomized trial published in 2008 also concluded that, excuse me, it appears to be a relation between vitamin D levels and symptoms of depression. Supplementation with high doses of vitamin D3 seem to help these symptoms indicate a possible cause of certain relationships. Vitamin D may reduce depression and diabetic pain. Vitamin D supplementation has been found to reduce both depression and diabetic pain. Here, researchers assess how vitamin D supplementation affects women with type 2 diabetes who were also diagnosed with depression. At the onset of the study, 61% of participants reported neuropathic pain, shooting or burning pain in the legs and feet. 74% reported numbness and tingling in their extremities. The participants were given 50,000 IUs of vitamin D2 once a week for 6 weeks. At follow-up, both depression and pain scores had improved. That's D2. From my research from Dr. Barefoot, he suggests 1 and 2 is for animals. D3 is the one that's for humans. When we're in the sun, that's the one the Creator got our body making, is D3, not 2. According to lead research Todd Dove, PhD, vitamin D supplementation is a promising treatment for both pain and depression in type 2 diabetes. However, he says, I would note that you'll probably get even better results using vitamin D3 rather than prescribed vitamin D2. In fact, previous research suggests that vitamin D2 might do more harm than good in the long run. Yes, D3 is the way to go, folks. He even, even said so in this article. Optimizing your D3 levels also reduce your risk of diabetes, new study suggests. Bringing the focus of this article full circle is research showing that vitamin D3 may also play a role in type 2 diabetes. So now we have a number of cross links between vitamin D3 and dementia and depression and vitamin D and diabetes. One Indian study found that vitamin D3 and calcium supplementation in combination with exercise can aid pre-diabetic individuals by preventing the progression into full-blown diabetes. Moving that body. We're in control. Look at God. Since exercise is one of the most effective ways to improve your insulin and leptin sensitivity, this certainly makes sense and may make even more difficult to ascertain which of the two factors, vitamin D or exercise, had the greatest impact. Either way, both are part and parallel of diabetes prevention. So the results still speak to the power of simple lifestyle modification. As noted by Neuropathic News, quote, vitamin D deficiency has been linked to pre-diabetics, which is a blood glucose or sugar level that is too high but not high enough to be considered diabetic. It is unclear, however, if bringing low vitamin D blood levels to normal through supplementation will affect progression to diabetes. In a new study, every unit increase in vitamin D levels after supplementation of the vitamin decreases the risk of progression to diabetes by 8%. Without healthy lifestyle changes, nothing works to prevent diabetes in at-risk individuals, said the lead author, Dep Dutta, MD. However, our results are encouraging because the addition of vitamin D and calcium supplementation is easy and low at cost. Here, a vitamin D level below 30 milligrams per milliliter was considered insufficient. All participants in the study were pre-diabetic. The treatment group received a once weekly dose of 60,000 IUs of vitamin D3 along with 1,250 milligrams of calcium daily for 8 weeks. A second group received only the calcium supplement. Both groups were advised to get 30 minutes of daily exercise. More than 2 years' worth of follow-up revealed that 1. Just under 11% of those receiving vitamin D3 and calcium became diabetic, while 26.5% of the calcium-only group developed diabetes. Number 2, blood sugar levels normalized in over twice as many of those in the vitamin D calcium group compared to the calcium-only group, versus 1.8% versus 20.4% respectively. Wow. Seniors are at particular risk for all those problems. As noted by a recent Medicine Net article, 60% of seniors seen in a medicine room across the U.S. are either malnourished or at risk of malnourished, despite 95% of having primary care physicians and 96% having health insurance, being otherwise mentally competent. Those most likely to be malnourished were seniors who, 1, suffer from depression, 2, live in assisted living facilities, 3, had trouble swallowing or chewing due to issues with their dentures or dental plan, and 4, have a difficulty shopping for groceries. Vitamin D deficiency is important both when it comes to preventing depression and pain, but a vast majority of seniors are also vitamin D deficient. So here again, we see how a vicious cycle can be set into motion by vitamin D deficiencies. How to optimize your vitamin D levels? When it come to Healthwise, I do it. 3807. They ain't say too much about K2, but I know it's coming. How to optimize your vitamin D levels, come to Healthwise, 3807. We got some vitamin D there for you. D3, each pill is 5,000 IUs. 2 a day is what Oprah scientists had folks take. Dr. Barefoot had folks taking 2 a day, 10,000 IUs per day. When it comes to vitamin D, you want to be in the optimal range, not the normal range, based on the evaluation of healthy populations that get plenty of vitamin D from the sun. The optimal range for general health appears to be somewhere between 50 and 70 milligrams per milliliter. As for now, to optimize your vitamin D level, I firmly believe that sustainable sun exposure is the best way. There's a smartphone app called D Meter that can tell you how your vitamin D rays you're getting and how many vitamin D rays you'll be based on your local weather condition. If you can't get enough sunshine, then it's a tanning place, yuck. But you have to be careful about the tanning place because your electromagnetic fields. If the circumstances don't allow you to get into the sun, then a vitamin D supplement is a great move. Grassroot Health has a helpful chart showing the average adult doses required to reach healthy vitamin D levels based upon your measuring and starting point. Many experts agree that 35 IUs of vitamin D per pound of weight would be used as an estimate for the ideal dose. Vitamin D Council aimed to raise awareness among the general public on the growing vitamin D deficiency, the pandemic, and the benefits of sun exposure. They are certainly at the end of a fun drive, but there is still time to participate. Your support would allow them to increase their efforts in reducing the burden of vitamin D deficiency and begin many exciting projects that they have lined up. Haha. If you optimize your vitamin D3, remember K2. Keep in mind that if you opt for a vitamin D supplement, you also need K2, 2,000 micromilligrams. The biological role for K2 is to help move calcium into the proper areas of your body, such as your bones and teeth. It's also help remove calcium from areas where it shouldn't be, such as in your arteries and your soft tissue. K2 deficiency is actually what produces the consequences similar to vitamin D toxicity, which includes inappropriate calcification that can lead to hardening of the arteries. The reason for this, when you take D, your body creates more K2 dependence, the protein that moves calcium around your body. Without K2, those proteins remain inactive. So the benefits of those proteins remain unutilized. So remember, if you're taking D3, you need to create an opportunity to get DK2. Together, these two nutrients help strengthen your bones and improve your heart. Yes, and we do have both of them at Healthwise. So, and they go on to have your levels tested once a year. 3807 East 8 Mile. I thank God for providing the opportunities to serve you. Monday through Saturday from 10 to 7. And I'm thank God in advance you take this information and share with others. It's so important. Because the things they do to kill people and kill babies is crazy. But we got God, and we've fought this long, and we ain't giving up. We got the life, got the power. God is with us every way, every day. Just getting 5 hugs a day promoting healing. So stop by Healthwise 3807 and start getting your 5 hugs there. Maybe even before you get there. It's so powerful. Thank you all for tuning in, listening. You can give us a call at 366-DIET or 586-757-DIET. Take care and peace and love.